Hello and welcome back to the Young Leaders podcast. Today we're kickstarting 2024 off with a brand new series. Today we'll be talking about youth voice and why it's important. I am joined by
Martyna, the volunteer coordinator for YMCA, and I also work in the activities department.
I'm also joined by Eden, who is a part of the youth board here at YMCA North Staffordshire.
Hi, I'm Eden. I'm also a resident of the YMCA North Staffordshire. It's great to be here.
So today we'll be talking about youth voice and why it's important. I want to first ask Eden how the YMCA have supported you with your voice.
Well, I've always had an interest in politics, and ever since moving to the YMCA, I've been sort of shot opportunities left, right and centre. I had the chance to go to Parliament recently for the APPG event, and I got to speak to a room full of people, which was really intimidating but amazing. And I got to speak with Joe Gideon as well, like local MP for Stoke, and just have her listen to me and like look me in the eye and like take on what I was saying, like, you know what I mean?
How did you find it talking? Because I remember when I did it, I went bright red.
I was
thought you scream pass out.
Yeah, I blacked out. Like, I don't really remember standing up and talking. I just see the videos and I'm like, oh wow, I guess I did that. But yeah, I really did like just completely black out and go through all of it. I think I did all right though. I didn't stumble.
Yeah, you did brilliantly.
So,
I saw it going on Twitter and everyone's singing your praises and stuff, so you should be very proud of yourself. Martyna, obviously you work closely with young people. How do you feel that the YMCA empower young people?
So I work with young people on a day-to-day basis through activities and volunteering. And we start by getting to know them, building a good rapport with them. And through that good relationship, we give them opportunities to volunteer in the community, or give them opportunities to maybe start a new hobby that they'd never thought of doing. And it kind of builds up their soft skills and, more importantly, their confidence in themselves. Because they come here, it might be a little bit daunting. They don't know anybody. They might not know the area very well. So it kind of builds up their knowledge of what's around and what they can do. And me and Michelle support them in a professional setting, but also the other young people who go on activities would kind of help build their confidence as well.
And I think that's one of the main things that YMCA do. I remember when I started, I was shy. I wouldn't talk to no one. Like I said, I'd be bright red and thinking I'm going to pass out any minute. But the opportunities YMCA have given me, where it's talking at Parliament and voicing my opinion, and like you say, Eden, you've been getting opportunities where at the start you thought, no, there's no chance I'll be talking in front of young people. And it's good that the YMCA are giving young people these opportunities, because in the next 10 years, when all the older generation and the CEO positions and the board of trustees will be retiring soon, and then it gives young people an opportunity to be like, oh, well, I'm able enough to step up.
Yeah, I feel like their voices are often underrated. Like, when I was in Parliament, I watched so many young people travel all the way up to London, not because they had been like sponsored by the YMCA, like me, for example, to do so. Like, they did that out of their own volition, like people my age. And I remember hearing some of them speak about, for example, like youth parliament, who have brought together like actual bills that they've worked on and then presented them to Parliament. But Parliament will change the name from bill to campaign because they don't necessarily like take them seriously as like a group. And there was a lot of those like issues raised when I went to speak, of just young people being like, why do you discount us? Like, we are bringing something like real and substantial to you, and it just feels like you're sort of kicking us off the playing field a little bit sometimes. It's a very shared sentiment, I feel like, around young people right now, just feeling like they're not being heard necessarily.
Definitely, and especially like, we're all from Stoke, I assume. And when I went Parliament, there was a lot of, I say posh people, but well-spoken people from London, and we turn up with our rough accent, and they don't take it seriously. But when we talk facts and speak our opinion, we get listened to, and then they realise that, hang on a minute, now their voice is important. They know what they're talking about, and it's nice for them to appreciate us and listen and take our voice and change it in their own way they can.
People often discount you for not just being young, but like being from the YMCA as well. Like people find out your address and they kind of immediately look at you a little bit different, I feel like sometimes.
I think there's a bit of prejudice.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously we spoke about our youth voice being heard at Parliament. I wanted to ask Eden, anything else you've been doing? I know you went on to the youth board.
Oh, yeah. So not much in the way of the youth board other than a couple meetings right now, but every meeting I've done has seemed overwhelmingly positive. Like, the YMCA seem really, really passionate right now about having young people not just living here, but actually making an impact on like the sort of goals that the YMCA has as an organisation, and being able to like put our 2 cents in about like what's going on around here. I just think it's great, like I really do. And just to have them being like, we want you to be like having your say, I just think it's great.
And I think it's great for the city of Stoke, because you see in these big cities where there's young people in the big roles, but I've noticed in Stoke, young people don't really get given that opportunity to be someone high up in an organisation, and the YMCA have started that initial point of, you know what, young people are the future.
Yeah, they get the ball rolling on that, yeah.
I mean, from a staff member's point of view, we had a training not long ago, and we were going over how the organisation at North Staffordshire kind of wants to run, and they were saying that they want to be like young people centred, so the voice is going to be heard, and it's going to be around the opinions and the wants of the young people who live here, which is essentially like amazing, and
it's
this
like
is
the
how
new
it
build.
should be.
Like the new build is taking a lot of inspiration from like what young people actually want for the YMCA building.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've got quotes and requests of what you'd like to put in it and what it would like to look like, and it's a really good step in the right direction, I think.
I want to touch on what you just said, actually, Eden, about the new build. Why do you think that will benefit young people, especially in Stoke, because it's on our doorstep?
Obviously, here at North Staffs, we've already got quite a lot of great facilities, but with the new build, you know, there's talk of things like extracurricular stuff, like music, for example, like having a place to. I know so many people in this tower that like play but don't have a place to play. Things like sensory rooms, like for neurodivergent youth who are like struggling with overstimulation or need like a quiet private place to be, like a safe room. Just like thinking about when I was younger and like knowing that I didn't have any of those facilities, and like now people are actually paying attention to like, what do young people want, what do neurodivergent young people want. Like it is heartwarming to see like people actually giving 2 darns about that.
Said a lot of young people in the tower have got a lot of hidden talents, and they've never really had that opportunity to use that talent.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Now the YMCA have got this new build coming with, like say, podcast room, music studio, filming studios. They can use their talent and in a safe space and see where it goes from there. They can, I can know there's one young lad that lives here who does music videos and which are absolutely brilliant, and he's got that talent that needs to be projected into the world a bit further, and there's only one way he can do that, by using the equipment and really using his talent to full effect.
Yeah, I was going to say, because some of the equipment and some of the barriers are financial, so you might have the talent but you might not have the means to like achieve your full potential, because you can't afford the equipment, you can't afford the right setup, you can't afford room hire, and we're just gonna like take down all these barriers, and then we've got the activities program that can kind of put the effort in and put the support from the staff members and nurture the young people to really use the space in a productive way. And you never know what it might open. It might open new careers, or it might open more people being interested in like art, music, culture.
Or maybe one day we can get more people on the podcast and
Yeah,
talking
Hopefully.
about. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the election, hopefully coming up soon. I know a lot of young people have been in the community door knocking and communicating with people in the community. Have any of you done any door knocking at all?
not yet, but I do want to. Like, it's in sort of the works for me to hopefully do some door knocking for Labour and for David and stuff.
Why do you think it would be beneficial for young people to do door knocking?
I just think it gets them out of this sort of terrified space that young people are in right now of, I don't know who to vote for, I don't know who I should even put myself behind. And like, if you get out there and for one, you talk with the residents of your community, who are they voting for, what are their thoughts, whether or not you're doing that from a position of like wanting to advocate for either side, just getting into the community and understanding like what the people who live with you want for their government will really like do great work for helping you understand politics. Because I know a lot of young people are nervous to engage with politics, they're nervous to vote, and they don't know even sort of who to like direct themselves towards at this point.
I don't know about you, Martina, but I'm getting on now, I'm getting old, and I've only voted twice. And like Eden says, a lot of young people don't vote because they don't know who vote for. What are your thoughts on young people getting into, not politics, but voting?
I think it's so important, and I think I'm going to take my own advice because I've never voted and I'm going to vote this time. But in the past, I've struggled with, I kind of know what my opinions are, where my stance is generally in the world, but sometimes you're misled by politicians and you don't know who to trust, and you don't know what information is actually true or whether it's going to happen, and there's a lot of wishful thinking sometimes in politics. But I suppose it's because, well, my friendship group, we never talked about these things, so it's not a conversation where you kind of talk about your opinions and feelings, where like I would like to open up the conversation here. And I think next Wednesday, I want to say, we're going to have like a morning talking about why voting is important, and then hopefully encouraging people to kind of find their strength and push and go for it, because I'm going to go for it. And is it 16th of April that you have until
Yes,
to register? So
yes, until to
there's
register.
time,
Yeah.
you know,
I think that's the deadline. Yeah.
yeah, there's time to have these conversations, which are really important.
I think it's that youth hustings we do is great because, like we said before, a lot of young people don't get involved in voting, don't get involved in politics, and I know a lot of young people have got opinions and want to speak up, but they're scared to use their voice.
Yeah, it feels hopeless. Like, I really think it does feel hopeless for a lot of young people because, you know, they've sort of been tossed into this world that's maybe going downhill in one way or another to them, and essentially being told, like, well, this is the world you're going to grow up in, and we've left it to you, so good luck with that. And, you know, there's no real, like, political education in school. There's no understanding of, like, who you should be voting for in school, and like, or even how to vote for that matter.
Well, definitely with this new
Voter ID, yeah. It screws over young people specifically. Yeah, I brought it up in Parliament, and so did a few others that showed up there, because they were just like, what are you doing to us, essentially? The push is to get young people registered for mail ballots, because you don't require ID for a mail ballot. So if there are any young people listening that want to vote but don't think they can, you absolutely can, and please do.
You know, the youth hustings, I was just going to mention, I've been to 2, I believe. It is a really good way to open up conversations and get answers from local MPs, is it, or politicians? Because sometimes you want an answer and you can't Google it. You can't get the answer that you want, and maybe people feel like it's like a stepping stone to get the voice heard, because it's really daunting coming from a position where you don't know everything, and you've got older people who you think know everything about politics, and you might be quite new into politics and into this world, and it's a good little like taster of how you can interact and get into politics. And well, here we have it at the YMCA, so it's a really safe environment.
I know the first time I've got involved with politics was probably last year, and I enjoyed it because I'm growing up now, and I'm seeing our city fall down in the pecking order, and I want our city to thrive and be the city we know it can be, and I want our voice and young people's voice to reach them MPs and listen to us and what we want and the way we want Stoke-on-Trent to thrive. Young people's votes, like we say, are very important because the young people of today, tomorrow, and yesterday are the future. We don't know if Eden might be the next CEO of YMCA North Staffordshire. We don't know, but
Let's hope so. Yeah.
and one thing that we're doing, I think you've touched on this before. We're doing a sit-down session with young people. It's going to be interactive. There's going to be a quiz, and it's showing them the importance of voting. Not only are we're not forcing you, you've got to vote, but you are entitled to your own opinion. You can vote for whoever you want. And it's just a sit-down session to explain why it's important to vote, and get involved and do your own research about who you want to vote for and what each party are. Yeah, exactly. And it's a nice way for young people to sit down in safe environments at the YMCA and listen and learn about how their vote can make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage everyone not only to vote, but also to get involved in your council, get involved in your local politics, because that's where you see like the ground change happening, and it's always going to be older, more conservative voters that are actually sitting in their council rooms once a week speaking to their council members, being like, I want this change in my city. And I think especially for Stoke-on-Trent, like if we got young people in those rooms, like speaking to our council members as well as like voting and stuff, there would be a lot more on the ground change happening in this city now. Like people underestimate like the power of council stuff, really. Like it, you know, everyone's nan and granddad will go there once a week and just sit in there and be like, I think this should change, and they're the only person in there.
We need
sort
some
of
young
asking
Karens.
for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need
some young Karens. That's what we need.
Yeah, I agree. And I was going to say, it's so important because I think there's a consensus that everybody thinks that things are going a little bit wobbly or downhill. And particularly, I was doing some research for my master's, and I was going to take Stoke-on-Trent as a case study for the decrease in youth services funding. And it's literally unbelievable how much we've had, like a decrease in the funding. And if we don't vote, then they're just going to do it. And we're the ones that are getting impacted, and the change is really negative, and it's impacting young people. And there's going to be no change if nobody speaks up for it and say how important these youth services are. I was looking at statistics in youth offending, and since 2010, like you can see a correlation of youth offending going up when youth services are defunded. And I feel like, does nobody notice that? I noticed that.
And I think that's a great reason why we do these podcasts. It's like a lot of young people enjoy the social media world, and I work in social media, and I do love reading about different information and using my voice to go out on social media. And this podcast that we do a lot of talking on subjects of, like say, youth services cuts, affordable accommodation, mental health, and it's a lot of things that young people are struggling with, and us as young people talking about these issues and what we're doing in our own life to make changes, whether it's you talking at House of Commons about issues young people are facing, whether it's you interacting with young people and empowering them to gain confidence and skills to talk about their own issues. And this is a great way for us to talk about the issues in a podcast, because we know a lot of young people are on social media. I'm always listening to music on Spotify, so there's no reason why we can't listen to the Young Leaders podcast on a buzz and listen to problems that young people are facing. And it's a great way for young people to get involved about, the YMCA talk about these issues. there's no reason why I can't get involved and write to my local councillor about an issue in his own area.
Inspiration can come from anywhere, and if there's no conversation, then there's not going to be any change or any solution, because things are just going to stay exactly the same, and nobody's going to know about it.
And young people get stuff done. You know what I mean? Like, despite all the setbacks the youth are given in this sort of political climate, they still try their hardest to engage wherever they can if they know to engage. Like, the amount of setbacks that young people are sort of put through in this day and age, and yet they still sort of keep going, keep engaging, whether it be creatively or politically or in any way, really. Like, it just sort of baffles me, the tenacity and the endurance, because I know a lot of people want to give up nowadays.
I'll ask you both a question. Do you believe that the YMCA give you both a voice? And how do the YMCA give young people a voice? How do they enable young people to talk about their own issues and talk about their own beliefs? Is there a certain way the YMCA do that?
I think by building your confidence. One of the small things that we have here in North Staffordshire, obviously, is Forum, which is once a week we all kind of meet up with one of the directors of the YMCA, and we feed back into like what we need, what's happening, like, oh, our vending machine's broken, like all this sort of stuff gets fed back to the director by the residents, and then we suggest ideas for like new activities, new resources that we might need, and they listen. They actually do listen, and they do give us the stuff we need. And I've been going to Forum for quite a few months now, and I have seen like visible change around the YMCA by young people, like the things that they wanted. So yeah, I think the YMCA is great for that.
It's not only good to feel like you're listened to, which is really good for young people to be able to have that relationship with someone who's higher up, who's on at the top of like the hierarchy. It's really good that you're listened to, but also the action that follows is amazing. Yes, you can be listened to all you want, but then if you come in with a grievance and then it's not followed by an action or something to rectify, or a compromise maybe, then there's no point of like just being listened to. But it's really great, on ground level. Forum is a really good way to interact, and we have I have meetings with the CEO. Like in some companies, people never see the CEO.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've started as a part-time worker, so you'd think I'm a bit of like bottom of the food chain. And I still got to have a CEO meeting and talk about like where I want to go in the company, and I felt like I was being like I was given the opportunity to say where I wanted to go and progress. And I'm a young person too. I'm 22 years old, so it's amazing that I got given the opportunity to work in an organisation that values a young voice.
And I know the YMCA have given us all amazing opportunities. Like I went to Denmark for YMCA World Council, and I think that moment changed my own ability to like, there was a lot of very important people there, massive CEOs, presidents of Denmark, and they were all the same people, and I realised, I can voice my opinion because we all come from the same way. We all wake up the same way. Exactly. And I wanted, did you go Romania?
No, I went
what was that
to
residential you went
Unify in, was it Hungary? Yeah.
How was that?
Amazing. It was the most amazing experience ever. We got to do essentially like a Christian residential with different people from different YMCAs all over the world, and it kind of brought us back in touch with the Christian values of the organisation. And then also we were there to share our experiences, and every YMCA is different, and we kind of, maybe I feel a little bit biased, but I feel like our YMCA is really, really amazing in the changes that they want to make.
Well, we're not two-time YMCA of the years for no reason, are we?
Not bragging at all. Yeah. But that experience was amazing, and it was nice to talk to people from different cultures, There was a lot of people very in touch with Christianity, and they held it really like close to their heart. And it kind of inspired the young people that we brought from here to be very open-minded, to engage in different conversations, and that's essentially, you can transfer those kinds of skills that you learnt there into a more political settings. That's important.
Have you been on any residentials at all, Eden?
I did apply for Canada, but I didn't get Canada, but I got Romania. So I'll be going to Romania in June to do some like community work for the Roma community out there, and like helping them. I think we're like doing half the day sort of helping build accommodation and like hubs and stuff like that. Youth centre, yeah. And then the other half is spent doing like sort of creative, engaging activities with the kids, like reading them Bible stories, like all that sort of stuff. It just sounds like awesome. Very enriching work as well. I feel like the YMCA gives a lot of like enriching opportunities to young people, like for them to be able to give back to their community as they've been given back to and supported by like the people here and the community here.
I'm a part of the Youth Ambassador group for YMCA England and Wales, and listening to you talk, Eden, about things you believe in, I think you'd be great for the Youth Ambassador team. Is that anything that you thought, and for the future, you'd like to be involved in?
I really didn't expect to sort of latch on so much when I came to the YMCA with just YMCA related programs. Like, I thought, I've got one thing that I want to do, and I want this place to help me get back on my feet so I can do that one thing. And I've sort of gotten caught up and very passionate about like the YMCA and the stuff surrounding that. So yeah, I would definitely be interested.
No pressure, not putting you on the spot at all.
For people who are listening, wondering what the Youth Ambassador team do, we basically young people from different YMCAs across the country, and we talk about issues that young people are facing. We did a campaign for the cost of living where we went to 10 Downing Street and gave them our opinion on such matters, and want young people to reach out to the MPs and make them known to us that we're the future and it's our voice that really matters. And it's talking about different services like we've got our YMCA manifesto launch for the next general election, and it's talking on matters that we've touched in today's podcast, whether it's youth services, affordable accommodation, and there's so many things that the YMCA want to talk about and see change, because like we spoke about in today's podcast, which is absolutely brilliant, we know that there's a lot of things that need to be spoken about and we need to see change.
A place that invests in young people, that cares about young people, that wants to see them thrive and supports positive activities and positive engagement. Because if there's not that kind of family support, or if there's young people going through struggles and there's nowhere to turn to, then it's the only way out, isn't it? It's only going to go into a downward spiral. And I was so shocked by the statistics, because we're like, I'm pretty sure like we're the lowest per head. We spend around £8 per head of youth provision in the whole of Stoke-on-Trent, and that's lower than the statistics in all of West Midlands.
Youth services since 2008 have completely been tanked all over, let alone in Stoke-on-Trent. And I hear people all the time saying like, oh, the YMCA is just a youth centre, and it's like, yeah, it's a youth centre, something that we don't really have much of right now. Like, the word's just a youth centre, it's like, do you know what youth centres do kind of for young people?
So, Eden, Martyna, thank you very much for joining us on the episode 1 of the Young Leaders podcast. Visit us on Spotify or our website, which is www.ymcans.org.uk, or you can follow us on our socials, which is YMCA NS. Thank you very much. I've been Daniel Boone.